just 1, 2, 3, go, huh? And I've got some things that just to share here, and it's probably going to seem longer than it actually takes, but it'll all come around in the end. But I just wanted to start out as I was thinking about this. I was thinking about my life, and especially the part where I started walking with God. And as I look back on things, and specifically my awareness of the Holy Spirit within me, and convinces me more than ever that nothing I've experienced, either due to circumstances, my life choices, whether God's plan and will for me or not, nothing ever caught God off guard. He was never surprised. He loves me and cares for me, as you all know, with each one of you. But no matter what situation I found myself trying to navigate through, or exist through, or to live through, nothing I've ever done has surprised him. We know that this pandemic did not catch God off guard. He was not surprised. I remember in the beginning, not when the earth was formed, but the beginning of the pandemic, I'm not quite that old, when we experienced the first ripple, and that when we first started urging us to keep our distance from people. I ran into Curtis and Wendy in Costco. And after a distant kind of smile and wave and everything, it was kind of an odd feeling thing because, you know, there was 20 feet between us as we found ourselves trying to talk. And that was just a little strange instead of walking up to 2 feet between you. And it kind of felt like we were shouting back and forth across the Grand Canyon, you know. And I remember saying to them, this season that we're about to experience will be a time for people to remember their reliance upon God and kind of revisit again just who is our source. Who do we truly rely on for every one of our needs? I wasn't trying to play a prophet, you know, that's just kind of what came out of my mouth. And little did I know that it would turn out into this deep mess that it has for so many people. Jobs and living situations and so much more that we plan on and have grown accustomed to in our lives, in our society, they've changed, greatly affecting so many people and so many families. And through it all, we must remember God is not surprised. Life as we know it has experienced a shift. Only God knows the where, when, and how things will settle into perhaps some kind of a new normalcy. And I'm reminded that the true normalcy really is thanking, praising, singing gloriously to, and recognizing our amazing God, who has reached out to us, revealed himself to us, and gave us the eternal life and benefits that he arranged for us through Jesus. That when we gave in, when we believed and received, it is he who became our new normalcy. Things and situations and circumstances have changed, but if we don't adhere to the true normalcy, living in and relying on God, we will just be that sorry, unstable ship without life's rudder. And this year has been different for me. Over this past year, my life has changed quite a bit. You know, retirement and moving with my mom to take care of her has been such a huge change for me. Several months ago, as I was thinking and meditating on things, my current situation, I told God that whatever he has for me to do in these last days, that I don't want to miss it, whether it's last days at end of times or my last days on this earth. Okay, I don't want to miss it. I want to be used by him up until the end. I want to fulfill whatever it is he has for me to do. I don't want to miss it. The next thing for the betterment of his kingdom. Now, some of you guys have got the hint that I play a little golf, and little is the descriptive word about my level of ability. I'm hooked on it, and for the past 2.5 years, I've been playing with a group of guys every Saturday morning. And we go out very early, first light. In fact, in June, we teed off a few times at 5:30 a.m., which means that I got up at 4:15 a.m. just to play stinking golf. And for the most part, I like playing with these guys, but there are a few, mind you, that kind of challenge my level of enjoyment for the outing. And I've questioned it, whether it's worth every Saturday commitment. But since I do spend a good chunk of time playing golf and with them, I told God that I want to be a heavenly influence on them. I don't want to, I want to bring him into their lives. I don't want Saturday mornings to be just another time for golf, but a marked difference maker. Not because I'm hanging with them, but because the Holy Spirit in me is hanging with them. That is my prayer to God. So, well, that was all well and good until this past Saturday. We had just started, only the third hole, and one guy hits his tee shot way left into the trees. That does happen from time to time with all of us. So as we headed up the fairway, I tried opening up a conversation with him, and he kind of just slided me and not answered me, but with a no look kind of wave of the hand, you know, just kind of disrespectfully motioned me to shut up, you know, which reminded me of the way my dad did to me all the time. And then the guy just walked on, not really recognizing me, you know, and my attempt to converse with him. So that didn't sit well with me. I went away thinking, I get up way too early in the stinking morning to attempt to have an enjoyable time with these guys. I could barely even that day, barely even swing a club because my back was hurting so much. And I mumbled to myself. I said, is this really worth it? Is this worth it? For what? You know? And I got home and iced up my back and thought about things. And then the next day, it just dawned on me. And I just kind of put my foot down. Oh, no, you don't, devil. No sooner do I make a heartfelt commitment to God, and then along you come to test my resolve, to test my commitment to what I believe was a direction from God in response to my prayer. So I kind of got a reset. And I am going into these next Saturdays with the focused determination of worshiping, praising, giving thanks, and praying for every one of these guys that I play with every Saturday morning. I want the Holy Spirit to make a difference in their life. And so this morning, the monks of Plesgarten Abbey were singing from Psalm 90. And you thought I'd never get to this, did you? Right? But I read it, and what caught my attention was, and I read it like Monday. What caught my attention was verse 2. Before the mountains were born, or thou didst give birth to the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, thou art God. And I was reminded of his incredible, and that's one of my favorite worship tunes to sing. It's called Everlasting, Everlasting, Thou Art God. Anyway, I was reminded of his incredible, majestic, all-powerful hugeness. I mean, before time began, until forever, God is. Our text is from Isaiah 12 this morning, and I didn't make it past verse 1 with that one. And it reads, I will give thanks to thee, O Lord. And it starts with a conscious decision to give thanks to God. It doesn't say, I will give thanks if I happen to remember to. It doesn't say, I will give thanks whenever I finally feel like it. Is that the writer is making a pledge to be one who will make giving thanks a major part of his life. So giving thanks back in the day, Old Testament day, and even now, but giving thanks was a major celebration, the festival of first fruits. In the spring, the priests would walk out in the fields and bend down and pluck a few samples of what was barely making its first peek up out of the dirt. And they would hold it up to heaven and give thanks. Not for the field of dirt, which was before them, but they would give thanks to God for what they would be seeing, what they would be harvesting in the fall. They would actually give thanks, then see and harvest later what they were giving thanks for. It didn't manifest until some 6 months later. And so that's kind of my prayer mindset for my Saturday morning golf group. God has a way of taking a person or two or a group, and why would we dare limit him to just that? But I mean, God can take a person, a group, a city, a nation. I mean, for God so loved the world, you know, and he can work things out with our prayers, kind of manipulating from heaven his desired end result, which is everlasting life with the everlasting one. So I looked in Philippians. Paul tells the church that he rejoices and will rejoice because Christ is proclaimed. From jail, he says that some are glad that he's kind of in jail and out of the way, opening up some opportunities for them to be the hotshot preacher. So Paul says, how am I to respond? And in the Message, it reads this, just a couple of verses. It says, I've decided that I really don't care about their motives, whether mixed, bad, or indifferent. I don't care that I really care about their motives, whether mixed, bad, or indifferent. Every time one of them opens his mouth, Christ is proclaimed. So I just cheer them on. What an attitude, huh? And Paul says, and I'm going to keep that celebration going because I know how it's going to turn out. Through your faithful prayers and your generous response to the Holy Spirit, everything he wants to do in and through me will get done. I can hardly wait to continue. This is still Paul. I can hardly wait to continue on my course. I don't expect to be embarrassed in the least. On the contrary, everything happening to me in this jail only serves to make Christ more accurately known, regardless of whether I live or die. They didn't shut me up. They gave me a pulpit. Alive, I'm Christ's messenger. Dead, I'm his bounty. Life versus even more life, I can't lose. So I took one of those little verses out of the Mirror translation. Anybody hear of the Mirror translation? You got to raise your hand if you've read it. No, the Mirror translation? And I like that it reads this. I am thrilled. Christ is the topic of conversation everywhere. Even the negative publicity continues to advertise him. I can see how the Spirit of Christ, like a conductor of music, takes all of this together with our prayers and turns it into a concert that celebrates salvation. I promised to God long ago that I will speak up when prompted by the Holy Spirit to give a witness, a word, a testimony, and not be silent in the right Holy Spirit moment. And if that is part of the Saturday morning symphony for me, I say, so be it. So those are my thoughts.